The Board of Zoning and Building and Code of Appeals is now called to order at 6:31 on April 17th, 2024. I ask the recording secretary to please call roll for the attendance of members of the board, please.
Mr. Pilato,
Here.
Mr. Ferraro,
Here.
Mr. Shelko,
Here.
Mr. Iofreda.
Present. Also present of the building department is zoning inspector Chris Hall and building official Bob Rodak. All persons in the audience are required to sign in, as you did, thank you very much. And you will be required to be sworn in as any court hearing, okay? I asked the board if we have any comments on the last case and minutes of December meeting, I think it was, right? And I think it was case
January.
690.
696 from
696?
January.
Motion to approve the minutes from last time?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from the last meeting.
Second it? Can you second it? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
we should probably
I'm
recognize
gonna
you.
do the roll call now. You have that, Rachel?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you please do another roll call?
Yeah. Mr. Pilato,
Here.
Mr. Ferraro,
Here.
Mr. Shelko,
Here.
Mr. Iofreda,
Present.
Mr. Scott.
Here.
Thank you. All persons wishing to speak of the issues will please raise their right hand and affirm this oath. That would be all these. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will be given before this board is the best of your knowledge and accurate and truthful presentation of the facts? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Now, in turn, please state your name, and we'll do that. Well, let's do that. Please state your name and relationship to the cases for the tape recorder voice recognition. Would you please start your name?
Shanette.
Shannon Greer.
Michael Sims.
Kathy Krug.
Kevin Noble.
Thank you. This hearing will be conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Ohio Sunshine Law. The notice of the hearing was duly published in a newspaper in general circulation in the city of Macedonia. This notice is available upon review and upon request of the building department. The rules of the board require an affirmative vote of 3 members in order to pass regardless of the number of members present at the hearing. The hearing is conducted in an informal manner to review the evidence and to respond to questions. However, there is an outline of steps that will be taken in order. The appellant does not have to be present to the board to hear the case. Each case number and appeal request will be announced as the turn arrives. Our first case is 697, and the appeal is in order. Secretary, is there any correspondence from notification of adjacent property owners?
No.
Is there any unsolicited correspondence regarding this case?
No.
Okay. Will the zoning inspector now please state the city's position?
The Board of Zoning and Building Code Appeals will hear a request for an area variance at 9858 Firestone Lane. The variance request is to section 1163.02H1. Detached accessory buildings shall be located in a rear yard and shall comply with the side and rear yard requirements. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow a detached garage in a side yard.
Does the board have any questions of the city? And I'm sorry, I should have asked. Could you please come up here, Artie? Oh, where we at here? Okay. You grab a chair. Yeah, right here is fine. That's perfect. My fault. Sit right up, bring it right up to the desk. The board will now allow a presentation from the appellant. Please state your presentation to the board.
My name is Kevin Noble. I am a authorized representative of the property owner and the applicant, Mr. Marlon Hathaway. He's unfortunately been called away for business. I am familiar with his home, with his project, and with the element he's run up against. What he would like to do is he currently has a 3-car side garage in his home. He would like to try to get a little more room to put another vehicle and some of his mowing equipment. So he's proposed a detached garage in this side yard. Now he has, it's a 20 by 30 detached structure. He has moved it back as far as he would like to do it, which is back behind the 3-car garage, not all the way back to the back of the house. His element he's run up against is there are 3 very nice, very mature, and very healthy hardwood trees that are sitting in his backyard. And so if he abides with the code, then those 3 trees would come down, and he's reluctant to do that, basically just based on the species and the healthiness of them. I will say that the garage, as I mentioned, is pushed back behind probably 3/4 of the house. His variance request is for 15 feet. There is a bump out in the back of his home that houses the kitchen and their family room, and it would be kind of parallel with that, but he has moved it back as far as he can behind behind the garages that he has.
Anything else?
I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Board, do you have any questions?
Yeah, there's also something in here about the grade of the lot. I tried driving by and it's hard to see that far back, right? But
It does fall a little bit, yes, he can work with the grades. His concern is really the trees is a concern.
okay.
The grades come into play if you put too much dirt over top of those trees as it is, then you may end up killing them. So he's concerned about the trees. I get it. He likes the trees, and the trees they do provide a nice boundary between him and the side neighbor and the back
Are
neighbor.
the trees on the property line?
The one of them in the back's on the property line, and the other one's probably 10, 15 foot away.
So how far from the garage that he proposed to build are the trees?
So he's left 5 foot, and again, he's going with the roots, is what he's protecting.
So, and how far is the tree trunks? You left 5 foot for the roots.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 5 foot from the edge of the tree is where he's at right now. And so hopefully he's trying to stay on grade. I think he has plans in there, so the plans, I think he's putting post and beam, so this isn't I don't think he's trying to cut footers in there. I think he's trying to save this tree as best he can.
That's code with no footers, correct?
Excuse me?
Is that code with no footers in that area there?
He has footers.
Are you saying it's not gonna put any footers?
Yeah, they're footers. I mean, it's almost like a pole-type barn.
Yeah, post and
So there
beam.
will be footers.
Yeah, I guess my comment was he's not putting continuous footers where he's trying to cut everything through. He's gonna put, I call it post and beam, but piers, I guess piers is the right term.
So basically in this picture here, what we're looking at, the garages are right here, and he wants to put it right on the end of the concrete, basically, and it'll be 3-car garage facing the road.
Yeah, it'll be so it's 2-car garage, 20 foot wide, 30 foot deep. So it is 2 cars.
And that's as far as he can go back.
Without taking the trees out,
And do the trees also go like along the back, like sort of in a?
There are some, I'll call them not as mature trees.
Okay.
These are the 3 big mature trees on the property. Yes, there's some other screening that goes across there. He's got it set up nice between him and his backyard neighbor, but these are the nice trees.
Okay, I was just trying to understand, because it looks like there's like the backyard with grass, and then there's like a tree line.
Yeah.
So this would cut into the tree line, as opposed to like, there just happens to be a couple trees.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. This is definitely, yeah.
It'll be right here.
Yeah, so you can see this tree.
What is this building that's through the property line here? Do you know?
He does have a small shed in the back. I don't know if that's his or not.
It looks like it's not in the property.
Yeah, looks like it's on the neighbor's property, right?
That's a shadow.
This is a shadow.
That's the shadow. The black part.
Okay. It will not be attached to the house at all,
It is a,
garage.
yeah, it is a
So it would be a
detached structure.
garage. And how far away from the neighbors is it on the east side, I guess it is?
He complies with the zoning code as far as side yard setback. I think the front yard is the variance request.
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Excuse my ignorance. The proposed garage is permissible in the rear of the yard. It just doesn't meet the variance for side, building in the side yard.
Yeah, he could build this. He'd just have to take the 3 trees down and push it back.
I did drive by the neighborhood. It does look like it would fit in the neighborhood harmoniously in the side.
And it's a relatively narrow and like long lot, right? So I think the front
Right.
yard is pretty deep.
The elevation is from the road up to the house, I think, isn't it?
It
If I'm
is.
not mistaken.
And then it kind of
Then it flattens out.
flattens out, and
When I
then
drove
it kind of
by.
falls back then towards the rear. High point's probably where the
So
garage is.
basically, he'd have to take 3 trees out in the backyard to build this dirt.
Yeah.
Probably fill dirt in as well.
Yeah, it probably from, it's 30 foot, so within that 30 foot, it probably falls a foot and a half to, probably 18 to 24 inches it falls.
Trees are tough,
Yeah.
because one lightning strike, if we had a storm that came through and the trees are gone, then that's done.
Yeah, these are pretty healthy and they're pretty nice, but yeah, you're right, you don't.
Well, from our legal point, you know, if there was a slant away from the property and it was beneficial to be closer to the house, and that's something that's a little bit easier for us to digest and say. The practical challenge in this property is the fact that it floats away, because I was gonna ask, is the gutters draining, are they to sewer, or are they to grade yet?
No, they gotta go to a closed system, so they probably come back to the front yard. Yeah, this isn't this isn't like a steep ravine in this back that
But it is
prohibits him.
significant if it's 18 to 24 inches.
Yeah, it falls.
You gotta
Yeah.
work with us here.
Yeah.
Does it say?
I didn't see anything.
I didn't see anything.
On top of it, right?
No. No. We're looking at 20 by
20 by 30.
30. So it is gonna go back in the backyard pretty far, really. And the shaded area here is gonna be also concrete, I take it, in the front, that's between the garage and the
Correct.
concrete?
Correct.
That's
Yeah,
original.
you'll have a little apron there with a trench drain.
Now, I know we have some in the city, houses with garage, detached garage, with being attached to the house, with like a walkway underneath it. We have no restrictions or codes on that, correct?
In the past, you have to install a footer to connect the house with the detached garage, and then we call it attached. So if there's no footer and you just do just kind of a roof, then we consider that a detached structure.
So not right now, this is
Have to have
a
footer.
detached structure because of the
Detached, correct.
other footers that we're talking about, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
No.
You have any other thing to add?
I do not.
Well, the chair's open for any suggestions, or
I make a motion that we accept case 697 as written.
any seconds?
I'll second.
Rachel, would you take a roll call, please?
Mr. Pilato?
Yes?
Mr. Ferraro?
Yes.
Mr. Shelko?
Yes.
Mr. Iafreda?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Okay. Case 697 has passed. And we will be going on to the next case.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you. I know, but I'm trying to get it all together. We need it all. Okay. Now, we're going on to case number 698. And the appeal is in order. Rachel, would you please take, is there any correspondence from any notified adjacent property owners on 698?
Nope.
Is there any unsolicited correspondence?
Nope.
Will the zoning inspector now please state the city's position?
The Board of Zoning and Building Code Appeals will hear a request for a variance at 9165 South Freeway Drive. The variance request is to section 1169.04 F2. Outdoor storage areas shall be set back from the front property line a minimum of 100 feet, except that the minimum setback shall be 300 feet when across the street from residentially zoned land. The applicant is requesting a 200-foot variance to have outdoor storage set back 100 feet from the property line.
Does the board have any questions to the city?
I do.
Be more than welcome, this is, bring another chair, I'm sorry. Thank you.
The residentially zoned land is across 271, correct?
Yes.
So that setback applies to the residentially zoned line, not the highway?
You go to the front property line.
Okay. So is the highway like not considered in that, or is that part of that?
Well, they say across the street from residentially zoned land, and they're considering residentially zoned land
On the other side of the highway.
Okay.
right across the street, which is, I forget which development that is, but, I mean, it's 300 and some feet
Yeah.
to the next property line. So I'm not sure I understand this ordinance either.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to, no presentation from the
Yeah.
appellate,
My name is Michael Sims. I represent the property owner.
okay?
I was here last time when we had this similar discussion. I actually met with Mark, the law director, who sort of actually helped me walk my way through this as well. Our belief was that, as you can see, we're really not across the street. We're across the street from 271. So there's a freeway in between. There's Freeway Drive, so we're across the street actually from the freeway, not from the residential area. But nonetheless, I know that's somewhat questionable in the board's mind.
Right.
So we've come to ask for a variance to just reduce it to the 100-foot so that we'll all be in compliance.
Anything else?
No, that's really it. It's real, pretty simple, we think,
Board?
we hope.
Yeah, what's unclear to me, I guess, is like was the need for this variance known before building started?
I can't answer that because I don't know.
Okay.
But again, the city issued the permit, so I presume that this was well vetted.
Well, what I remember from the meeting and between our meeting of the BZA and Planning Commission, okay, this facility was a no outside storage facility
Originally,
at all,
that was
okay?
originally the
That's how it
plan.
was brought in. There's a
Yes.
memorandum here from Brian France, if he's ready,
Yeah.
okay? That also states that. all
Yeah,
right?
we agree that's what the original was.
Okay.
And
Also, there was no outside storage. This area here that's gravel now, I don't know how it got gravel because it was supposed to be green space from the original meeting.
again,
Okay.
I
And
can't
then if
answer
I
that.
remember right also, there was an area that was in the back here supposedly for a storage area for your garbage disposal or garbage.
All right, let me show you, you probably have this anyhow, but these were pictures that I took yesterday. Today's what? That's Tuesday, right? I lost the day, whatever,
Wednesday.
they were done this week in any event.
Yeah,
And I put them on the iPad so I could see it a little bit easier. And there is, you can see back here, whoops, I'm sorry. There is the green space that is well behind this gravelled area. Feel free to.
With the power lines?
Well, see, that's, yeah, the power lines, the properties here, what you're talking about, you've got,
we gave a variance if I remember right, and I should have Rachel pull it out, but if we have to, we'll do it. We gave a variance, if I'm not mistaken, on this side of the property line where you're talking about where the green space was, that was a retention pond or something was supposed to be there.
Kathy?
There is
Okay.
a retention pond at the other end of the
Correct,
property.
but we gave a variance to have these buildings closer, okay? And if I remember right, this was all green space over here, there was no outside storage at all. So like I said, this was brought to both the BZA and the Planning Commission as a facility being built, there's no outside storage at all.
and Mr. Crash was here, I think, the last meeting, and we all went through this, and it was pretty well agreed that, yes, that's it, but
Correct.
things changed, and we came to ask for a change. It
Well,
wasn't
looks like
planned.
They changed it before they even came and asked.
Well, I don't know that to be sure, so we're
Well,
not.
there's
careful.
gravel here, is it, you have a gravel parking lot here, right?
No, it's completely asphalt. This is all asphalt like it's supposed to be. The gravel is where we're talking about the second request that's on the list today.
I understand, but this wasn't in the original plans. This was supposed to be green space. If not, it's supposed to be paved.
I have no clue, gentlemen, I really don't.
I'm aware of that.
This was all not, again, I was here last time, and none of this was brought up. In fact, the two of the gentlemen that were sitting down here even questioned the need of whether or not we needed the variance from 300 to 200, because they read it the same way we did, that you've got Freeway Drive in between, and therefore we're not across the street from a residential.
What meeting are you talking about?
Last time I was here.
At the BZA meeting?
Yes, sir. It was, yeah, last meeting it was discussed.
I think that might have been the planning commission.
Oh, that could very well have
Yeah,
been.
that was a planning commission.
Okay.
That wasn't
Okay.
BZA.
Okay,
My first day of looking at
my bad. Sorry, guys, I apologize.
But I guess I'm going back to, like I said, the original plans, okay, that went through the planning commission and through the BZA was a no outside storage. And that's what everything was put through, why you got variances from the first time you came here. And the memorandum from Mr. France also says applicant stated that the new location will not contain outdoor storage. I mean, like I said, it was cut dry when you came to the board, whoever came to the board, the BZA and the planning commission, okay? And what I see here is that we have facilities already with outside storage with gravel that wasn't supposed to be gravel, that's a green space.
Was it, again, I wasn't here,
Okay, well,
and we do have a green
I'm
space.
just-
I don't know how far this was
Well, your
supposed to
green
go back
space
or not.
was where the gravel is and all the way over, okay?
Again,
Any other board members, you have any other comments on that?
all I can say to you is when the last meeting, apparently it wasn't this board, it was the other board.
Correct.
But the discussion was had with respect to the variance from the 300 to the 100. That was the only one that was made at the time. And Mr. Crash said, well, if I'm going to have to come in for a variance, which at least two of the people on that commission thought, might not be necessary because of the verbiage. We said, well, if we're
Well, I
gonna,
can understand the verbiage, but I guess my concern is it was brought to both of our boards as a non-outside facility.
well,
And that's how it was brought to us
Okay.
and to the planning commission.
okay, all I
So I
can
guess
say,
what I'm asking you is, you know,
It
if this was
changed.
if this was part of the plan, okay, what was it, 6 months ago, 8 months ago? I
Yeah.
can't even remember when it was put in, okay?
Yeah, I guess I have a question for the city. Is the setback a different issue than the no outside storage?
I think the whole issue here is just simply the outdoor storage. And they didn't go to BZA for any outdoor storage issues in the past. But
And they didn't go to the
I think-
planning commission for outside.
I think the issue here is the definition of street.
Yeah, I
Because
don't think
in
we're really dealing
113302, they say street means all property dedicated or intended for public or private easements therefore. And, I mean, even the law director has said that this probably doesn't apply. When they wrote this code back in 1962, they weren't talking about highways. They were talking about just a regular
Whoa.
street such as Freeway Drive or Valley View. So putting the condition of 300 feet setback on outdoor storage is kind of not right. And their conditional use was for a storage facility. And they just kind of, I mean, they're in a general industrial, so they're permitted to have outdoor storage. I mean, they're permitted. Limited industrial, no outdoor storage. General industrial, they're permitted to have outdoor storage. So I think it
I
really
don't
goes
like
back.
the, I don't like the kinda.
No, they're allowed.
I would,
No,
In 11,
they're permitted by right to
By
have
right,
outdoor
right.
when I'm talking about the, across the street, I understand the street, okay? What was Mark's,
he doesn't believe that a variance should even be
for that?
obtained for the setback of 300 feet.
so we're clear, Mark said to me that he didn't even think we needed a variance.
Correct.
Is Mike correct?
Understand your position, but we're just here to see if they can make it.
Well, you know,
You
and
know,
it's-
the use of it, and it does say later in there that they're gonna have to go before them, the board or the planning commission for use, so.
Right.
we're
Did you,
just-
you've been to the planning commission already, correct?
That was the last meeting we were at.
And when did they tell you about the outside
The
storage?
sole issue was this 300 foot, 100 foot, do we need? That was the
Yeah.
only issue raised.
atypically, a dimension of 300 feet is a relationship to the impact that it would have on a residential district.
Correct.
But you have a major freeway in between there, which is a far more major impact than this outdoor storage. So I think and again, this is the way that I see it, the code probably needs a little bit of touching up in that case, but the code is what it is. And if it says residential district, it's a residential district, despite the fact that you've got a major freeway in between that. So now you get down to what the practical difficulty is. Is the practical difficulty the dimension, or is it having the major freeway between the residential district and the general industrial district?
I would agree with you, but if you read your code just as it's written, it says across the street. And across the street from Freeway Drive is the freeway, which is God knows how big, with sound barriers and everything. So whether, if you guys agree with that we don't need a variance, that's fine. If you think we do need a variance, just to be on the safe side, we would request it. We
Well,
would
the
request it.
city planner has
Yeah.
said to get a variance based on the definition of street. So across the street, when you read the definition, that includes the highway, when most likely it probably shouldn't. But according to the definition, the street is included.
Yeah, I would agree, like this is
And
a,
I think another comment would be that if they grant them the outdoor storage, I believe they do have to go back to planning commission.
They have to go back for site plan.
To set up some screening, because they don't want to see it from South Freeway Drive.
Yeah, they have to screen.
Well, that was my main concern when I drove over there and saw it, okay? And like I said, from what I said, you know, this is how it was brought to the BZA, okay, was no outside facilities. What happens, what's the procedure of the city when we have businesses or residents that don't abide by the code, okay, or the variances that were set in place when they come to either the planning commission or to the BZA?
Well, they would receive a violation letter,
Yeah.
but I have not really come across any that have not complied with the BZA.
Yeah, and they would face revocation too.
So you're saying in this case here, because there's outside storage and gravel that wasn't supposed to be there, they didn't get a violation on this?
They did get a violation.
Yeah.
And then they were requested to do a 10 planning commission and get input from planning and then get a variance should they need one.
And that's how all this started with that
Yes.
violation.
So I would agree with the practical difficulty of the freeway not being, you know, residential, right? That's not the street itself, the street is Freeway Drive. But when you look at the Duncan factors too, it talks about utilities and government services, and the Brian France memo from November says something about appears to be in the electric transmission line easement.
Okay, time.
Yep.
We went through this with planning, and it was actually withdrawn as an issue. The ultimate decision was that the easement that is there is for the electric company to enforce, not the city. And as a practical matter, it really doesn't exist if you look at the pictures of where it is. So that was clearly one of the outcomes of that meeting.
And I wasn't at planning, so.
We weren't either, but we haven't received anything from planning. So we'll finish your question, what you were gonna say.
That was my question. So, right, so like the, what is it? In the Duncan factors.
Okay. Are you referring to the restrictions in the original lease? Is that what you're referring to?
No, I'm
About
looking
the,
at, I'm looking at the memorandum that we have from Brian France that says his conclusion is that the area depicted does not comply with the required front yard setback, we already talked about that, and appears to be an electric transmission line easement.
okay.
Do you have any, who was at the planning commission?
I said planning commission.
And is that true, or what's false, or?
Was that concern withdrawn about the electric line easement?
Yeah, that's correct. It was
Okay.
determined at that meeting that that was not an enforceable thing by the
Okay.
city before the
Okay.
development.
Good, thanks. And then, I guess my only other question, oops, sorry.
You're okay.
Is, so if we do determine practical difficulty on this specific case, does that have any, like, I guess, Mark's not here, but does that have any, like, legal bearing on the BZA essentially endorsing a violation? Like, is this like a retroactive?
We're not dealing with outside storage, legally, I don't think.
Okay.
In this variance?
Correct, yes.
No, this is
Okay.
about the setback.
Okay.
Yeah, so we understand the concerns, but legally, we're not dealing with that,
Okay.
that's for others
I got
to
it.
deal with.
I got it. Yep. All right, I'm good.
Anybody else? Any other comments or questions?
I have a lot of questions.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused. This is for a setback for outdoor storage though, correct?
Yes, I
Yes,
think
okay.
that's a fair statement.
All right. In the memorandum that we received in the packet, it states that a stipulation was placed on the conditional zoning certificate approval to the effect that outdoor storage will not be permitted on this property. Can the city clarify that for me?
Yeah, there was, they came before the planning commission and they put a condition that there would be no outdoor storage on the property.
Okay.
And the owner put outdoor storage on the property. They were given notice to remove the outdoor storage. At that point, they're given the opportunity to go ahead and make good. They can go to the planning commission, they could go to the Board of Appeals. So they chose to go back to the planning commission, and then planning commission referred it back to the Board of Appeals
Gotcha.
for the variance.
Okay. I think it's clear to me, yeah. Totally understand the 100 and 300 foot for any property that would be deemed acceptable for outdoor storage. I totally get that. But I think it's been deemed that this is not.
Yeah, that's where I was hung up.
That's where I'm really hung
The
up.
number itself is
And I
not
understand it's
hanging
not
up, it's the-
enforceable, but it did require city approval prior, and it's not for us to enforce or anything like that, but I
But
think
we
it's
were
cut and dry.
legitimizing it by.
This isn't a
approving the
property
variance.
that even,
But even in the memorandum, it says they need to go back for the
Back to planning after.
planning after this. We're
Right,
just
is
saying
is
that we see the challenge, that the practical challenge of the highway versus a regular road.
Right.
And we're acknowledging that as a board for the city, that the city says, yes, there is that challenge, the highway is there, it's different than anywhere else because it's a freeway.
yeah.
But gives them the ability to go back and then say, okay, this is what we want to do to rectify this situation, or not rectify it, but.
So to be
Yeah,
clear,
but
there is another
That's
planning
for
commission.
any property that can have outdoor storage, but and you previously said they are allowed to have outdoor storage, but in this memorandum, it states that they are not.
They came to-
So
I
I'm a
wanna
little
make
bit
it- make it
unclear, are they
known
not
that
allowed to have outdoor
They
storage?
did come to both boards, the planning commission and this board of BZA, and this project was set up where there was no outside storage at all. That's how it was built and proposed to the city of Macedonia, okay?
I
And
don't
now,
think
all of a
Discussing
sudden,
a setback for outdoor storage on a property that doesn't even, isn't,
Doesn't technically have outdoor
it's not
storage.
permissible to have outdoor
Right.
storage.
Well, no, don't confuse, it's permitted by right. They are allowed to have outdoor storage, but they have to define that area, and there wasn't, the planning commission put a condition on their approval that they would not have outdoor storage. They didn't ask for it, so they weren't granted it.
and also the BZA, they came here with the same
You know,
thing.
Oh.
Yeah, there's things that could be done by condition, and they could be done by right. But by right means, yes, you can have it. But in this case, the planning commission made the statement that you cannot have it. You didn't ask for it, so they didn't want to find it happening at some point in time. They wanted to be able to regulate that outdoor storage.
Yeah.
Because if they were to ask for it, it would be regulated, which is what's happening right now,
Thank you.
Rob. It's
That was
becoming
very clear.
regulated at this point in time.
Yeah.
So there is a requirement to go back to planning commission after. this.
They will have to go back for planning commission approval and also landscape approval. They have to submit a landscape plan by a professional architect.
That helped tremendously, thank you.
Do you have any plans for landscaping or anything for?
As I sit here
planning
today,
commission?
I do not have that.
So we can't
information.
even see those, what you have?
I can't answer that for you, but I can tell you that if we have to go back to the board with them, they'll be there.
Any other questions?
No.
Chair's open. Oh,
Before we vote, should we not get the recommendation or denial from the planning commission?
I think they kicked that.
Are we putting the horse, the cart in front of the horse?
I think
Are we doing it now?
the only specific thing in this case is the setback. Everything else is decided.
Okay. And the setback comes null and void almost because of the highway.
Well, that's what
That's what
we're here to
it's
decide.
based on our opinion, right?
Right.
Yeah, it could be.
Regardless of all the other information, the 100, 300 foot setback makes no sense here. Or any other
So
property
then,
in that
this-
But
situation.
Brian
This
France, our city
regulation was
planner,
written in 1962.
Correct.
And when do we, Your Honor,
when do we rectify it?
when do we rectify an ordinance that was written in 1962?
We have to send it back to the council, is what's
We're in
going
the process of looking into changing the code to update a lot of things right now. So that's something that we have in the works currently.
Okay, I just happened to notice you were back here, so I thought we'd get your attention. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we have.
there's also, I believe, 22 parking spaces there. So should you approve the variance, I mean, you can set conditions, I believe, on, you know, you can park 22 vehicles there, and that's it, in the spaces provided. So it's not gonna end up being, you know, 50 vehicles
All over the.
all over that
And
gravel area.
How about, I know you want landscaping, but how about fencing or something that blocks it from the road? I'm okay, like I said, what I remember when it was brought to this board, it was so clean and cut, it was so nice looking, there was no outside storage, you're not gonna see anything, okay? Now we're gonna see it from Freeway Drive, the freeway, wherever we're gonna be. So if we could set a stipulation on that, is what you're telling me?
I think you can say how many vehicles can be parked there. I think with regard to the screening and landscaping, that would be taken care of by the planning
Planning
commission.
commission.
Yeah,
But do we
that's
have-
part of the
do we have
site.
knowledge
Yes.
and
Yeah,
space
the
to
specific
require
thing is
number
the
of spaces?
vehicles.
I think before we've, before we said it has to go back to the planning commission and
Yeah,
then meet
I mean,
their.
they need to set the amount more
Another
than us.
example would be 9260, the summer building on Valley View Road. When the Board of Zoning granted Naylor Landscaping to be present on that site, they limited the amount of material that they could bring in. The wording wasn't very good, but they did do that. And I think you could do the same with the 22 vehicles or whatever number of parking spaces are there.
What is the size of that lot? I don't have any dimensions, I don't think.
I think that's a little challenging because like.
They have the
They have
parking-
8-foot parking spots and you can't.
No,
park
they have vehicles parked there and they have numbers
No,
against the
I
fence
don't
for the
either. I think
vehicles.
that's getting out of our area of expertise to limit the number, but I think that we say in our ordinance that they need to, that it's conditional upon planning commission's input into landscaping and the appropriate number of spaces that are put there. And that's how I would move forward, because they're gonna be the ones who have to have the input.
And that's, again, I think that's actually a good route to take, because we do have a regulation on how wide parking spaces could be. They gotta be 10 feet.
Yeah, see, at work we've
You
got
know,
8, because they
but
got
the-
away with it.
But, well, and I think I think they had a boat in there too
Yeah.
at that time, and a boat I don't know what the width of the boat was, but.
Are we gonna
they
limit
kinda-
outside storage to certain vehicles or certain types of campers, boats, or is it just gonna be a wide open 22 spaces for
Yeah,
whatever they want?
well,
Landscaping, trailers, I mean, you know,
I kind of think that.
this is what my concern is also.
Right, I think, but that is more for the planning commission, because they decide, if you have to remember, they decide the use of the property. They have authority on how a property can be used. What's before the board now is, can they have this? And then they will go ahead and refine that to what the use would be.
Well, can they have this being the setback?
Right.
Not
Yeah.
Or
this
this
being
to be-
existential, the
Or
storage.
is this outside storage? What are you talking, this outside storage or this, the setback?
I thought we got to finish up the setback before we actually go into the outdoor storage.
Well, okay, yeah.
We've been going back and forth with both of them, really, but, okay. Does any of the board members have any more questions? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion.
I would make a motion that we accept variance
698.
698 as requested due to the practical difficulty of a highway being in between the residential district and the property in question, with the stipulation that moving forward, they would have to work back with planning commission on areas such as landscaping, spaces. think that's all we need in there, so. Did you get that?
Is there a second?
Second.
You got that, Rachel? Please take a roll call.
Mr. Pilato?
No.
Mr. Ferraro?
Yes.
Mr. Shelko?
Yes.
Mr. Iafreda?
No.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Request 698 passed, correct? Okay. We're going to move on to 699.
Yeah, Mr. Sims, I know you're representing this project. I'm wondering if the variance for the outdoor storage is inappropriate for this board. And I'll give you my reasoning why. The Planning Commission made a motion, and with that motion, that's like asking this board to overturn that motion. Now, I don't know if they have that authority or not, but perhaps with the variance for the setback, you go back to the Planning Commission and ask them to modify their motion based upon the information that you got from here, based upon the vehicles that are going to be there, based upon the landscaping, and ask them to modify their motion.
Which motion specifically, so I understand
The-
when I
Where
take
the
it
plan-
back?
where the Planning Commission put a condition that there would be no outdoor storage.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, I'm just thinking that, because now we would have a conflict between the Planning Commission and the Board of Appeals.
Okay.
Well, and I don't know, the next case is not, should there be outdoor storage or not? Should it be paved or asked for?
Oh, you're right, okay, for the gravel parking.
Yeah.
My
But
error,
this
sorry.
was all taken care of in the first meeting for the BZA and the Planning Commission. Okay, there was green space, there was paving, there was no gravel. Okay, so now it's back to us, all right, and you're suggesting they go back to the Planning Commission.
No, like,
Okay, I'm still going back to the same thing from day one, that this was presented to both of the boards, okay, as a no outside storage.
The Board of Zoning didn't receive any variance for, or
Grant.
grant any variance for outdoor
There
storage.
was comments, but it wasn't.
Right.
It was
Right, but the BZA that's how it was brought to the BZA.
approval of other cases were predicated on that information.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the actual case itself. Is that accurate? So we
I don't,
use that as
if we
information.
pull the tape out, you'll see the difference what I'm saying versus what you're saying. It was brought to this board.
Yeah, as information that we
There was
used in our
gonna be-
decision for other cases related to that
Well,
property. Right?
It was brought to the board
Right.
that it was no outside facility, is what I'm saying. But
Agreed, yeah.
So are you suggesting that we go back to planning?
No, I misspoke. There's two variances, one for the setback, the other one is for the gravel in lieu of the asphalt paving.
That is correct.
Right. But the gravel right now, it was required before to be either grass or pavement, am I correct?
Pardon?
Yeah,
The gravel
I believe
was
that
not
it
even
was,
supposed to be there. It's required that it should have been grass, green space, or asphalt.
Well, technically,
Mr. Chairman,
Right,
should
but-
we start into this, we're starting to get to the second variance, you want to get?
Let's just go to the second variance, yeah, let's do that. We're going to, request number 2, variance 699. I'll let you state your case on that. Well, we could do that, thank you. I'm just gonna do the check first.
I'm just pulling all my notes back.
Go ahead, we're ready to go in a second. Will the zoning inspector now please state the city's position?
Board
On
of Zoning,
case 699.
the Board of Zoning and Building Code Appeals will hear a request for a variance at 9165 South Freeway Drive. The variance request is to section 1167.07A3. Areas devoted to outdoor display and storage shall be paved with asphalt or concrete and free of dust. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow gravel as a surface for outdoor storage.
Any questions to the city from the board? as you stated, that they're asking for variance for gravel, and there's gravel there already, correct?
Gravel is there. The question is, should we continue, should we go through planning, and should we then get their approval? Do we need to asphalt it? That's the ultimate question, I think. And as I
Nobody went
point,
for approval for the gravel originally, any of the boards. It's
I
there.
can't answer that.
Well, I
But
think they're
gravel
asking,
is
right
just-
now, I believe that they're asking permission to leave the gravel in place.
But is it not correct from what I'm hearing, is at the last meeting, it was approved for gravel or green space?
It wasn't gravel, it was asphalt.
Or, excuse me, asphalt or green space. So,
No, it wasn't approved for asphalt.
it wasn't.
It was
It was approved for green, it was
Green space.
supposed to be green space, yes.
Okay, but if we take a look at the ordinance, assuming outdoor storage is appropriate, it says devoted to outdoor storage shall be paved with asphalt or concrete and free of dust. The gravel that we have laid down there, and I have pictures, does that. There's no dust. And again, if you look at the perimeters of the place, we've got the railroad tracks, we've got the power lines, I mean, we've got I-271, and I have pictures of the gravel from 2 days ago. Should we get to that spot, I think it would save us coming back here again for the same thing.
But you read the code, the ordinance, that it's either asphalt.
And that, or concrete,
Concrete.
and that's why I'm here. That's exactly why I'm here, asking for that variance, assuming we go back to planning, and assuming they say, yeah, outdoor storage is great, no problem, then it's already here, and it's already done, and it's clear as, there's no dust, there's no gravel, and here's a half a dozen
There's
pictures.
There's no dust that day.
Any day, take a look,
So I have a
please.
question.
There's
So
no
other
dust with that gravel.
businesses on
Then are we gonna be specific to what?
Freeway
gravel?
Drive?
Well, the gravel's already
Other
there.
businesses have gravel outdoor storages.
They just went 2 years ago, I believe, to Planning Commission, and it's the generator place. They were granted a variance by the BZA to have gravel instead of asphalt or concrete for their, right next to the gutter place.
Okay.
It's
So
the
I
generator.
thought- So we have granted
What's it,
other
Greco?
businesses to have gravel.
The leaf guard place, is that what you're talking about, leaf guard?
No, it's,
Generator.
I think it's a Greco.
Okay.
So they have gravel storage.
Like, well, does your other, the space place, the original one have, what are those vehicles stored on?
Gravel.
And what was the code, or what was brought to the board, planning commission, for that place? For outside storage, gravel, or was it supposed to be asphalt there?
That I couldn't tell you. That,
Uh,
yeah, that was like back in the 80s, 90s. yeah.
1982 that was put it down there. Before my time.
Yeah.
Not mine.
Yeah, I'm inclined to disregard whatever's in place, you know, today. Because, right, the codes may have been different, we don't know if there was a variance requested, right, like,
For the other,
yeah.
We
I mean,
just
not
know-
the, yeah, I'm talking about the other property. So I'm almost inclined to say it's not
Well,
relevant.
the other property, all the outside storage is in the back. You can't even see it from Freeway Drive, correct? If I'm
For
not
the most,
mistaken.
for the most part, correct.
Well, you have the building and stuff, and all the offices right in front and everything else. Where this is wide open, I mean, you'll see the outside storage,
It won't be if planning tells us we have to put up
yeah.
So,
the other.
so we have to figure out like what the practical difficulty is, right? That's our job, and every case I always try to, you know, it's really up to the applicant, but I always try to go like, come on, like, what's the practical difficulty, right? Just to
Right.
try to help you out. And the only thing I'm seeing in the information provided is because it's already gravel, because we did it before we asked.
I don't know that that's actually true.
It's in the,
No, I'm saying, it's not because it's already there.
Right.
It's still a cost factor, obviously.
Because
up to-
it was-
Well, if it was mud, you'd have to put something in there, obviously.
Right.
Or green space, it rains, it's muddy. This is actually better in many
But
ways.
not as good as what the code requires.
Well,
if I can,
asphalt-
if I can interject, economics are not a practical difficulty.
Okay, so what is practical though is the codes, the reason for the asphalt project is so it'll be free of dust.
It's aimed free of dust, not because it's.
Well, but that, I think you read those together.
Well,
Well, from a legal standpoint, one would say you read things together as they're meant.
The rest of the facility is all asphalt,
True,
correct?
absolutely.
Okay, and this is the only space that's not asphalt.
That is also correct.
Okay, and yesterday or tonight, there's no dust, but tomorrow, with 60-mile-an-hour winds and it's dry, there's gonna be dust probably. And I'm not an expert at it, but
Nor I.
I'm just saying that's.
And
my-
vehicles pick
okay.
up gravel,
Right.
maybe not wind, but in 100 feet, it can still be on your vehicle. Maybe the 300 feet is enough to get the gravel off of vehicles. Today, that gravel is not dusty. Next month, it might be, if the gravel gets changed to a dustier variety of gravel. Well, we already had gravel, so now this is just another gravel. Sorry, it's dusty, but now it's blowing all into the road and across 9271. That doesn't sit
Well,
well.
I'm also looking at the factor that it's asphalted now, the facility, okay? And to make it look correct, it would be the asphalt or concrete, okay? And you have asphalt in there now, so finishing the project, if planning commission lets you go through with it, okay, my suggestion would be asphalt. No gravel, that's my suggestion, so.
Again, the only thing I come back to is the intent of the statute or the ordinance. And we've got 271, we've got the rail, and assuming planning that goes along with it, all we'll need to do is place across the frontage, and that stops the entire issue.
If it was related to the residential zone land, I would agree with you, but it's specific to outdoor display and storage, not across from, the previous.
No, I understand
previous case was-
it. All I'm suggesting is the hard pack as it sits complies with the purpose of the statute, maybe not the
Part of
words.
the purpose.
Yes,
Right.
yes, I'll agree with you on that. Part of the purpose.
The purpose, or the actual is concrete or asphalt, as it states.
You and I are saying the same thing,
I
we went to
understand.
different schools at the same
Right.
time.
Right.
But the point is, look at what's around it. You got the rail line, you got the power lines. There's nothing around it that's even remotely gonna cause an
But
issue.
let's look at what everything is the way it is right now. It's on asphalt or concrete.
And that's why we're here asking for a
So
variance.
let's make everything the same.
Cosmetically the same. I mean, the planning commission would have granted you stone if that's how it was put in originally.
Well,
okay?
again, as you pointed out
Otherwise-
earlier, no one talked about that earlier, so it was never
Well,
an
we
issue.
don't know, we weren't at planning commission, and I take it you weren't.
I wasn't there at that point either.
So all we can go by is minutes and memorandums that we have, and minutes from the planning commission.
But it was not, according to what you told me, and I completely believe you, this whole area of outdoorness was never even brought up.
That is correct, and from my recollection, it was green space.
Okay, and I'm, again, there's no arguments. All I'm suggesting is,
Well, I was in the same chair when we went through this before, whoever was sitting here. okay?
you want to switch seats with me?
No, not really, not really. All right, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I more than
Okay.
spent my time.
The chair will entertain a motion for case 699.
I make a motion that we deny the variance request because I personally do not find any practical difficulty, so.
I'll second.
Rachel, roll call, please. If you say yes, then we go with,
It's a deny.
to deny it, yes.
Mr. Pilato?
Yes.
Mr. Ferraro?
Yes.
Mr. Shelko?
Yes.
Mr. Iafreda?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Okay, case 699 has been denied. Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thank you.
This Friday.
I hope everything everything's resolved at the planning.
I'm sure it will be.
Nice guy, but we don't want to see him back.
Oh, I might be back just for the heck of it.
Well, you're welcome to come back.
We're here. You can leave the chairs there. You can leave them there.
Need a second one?
We will, I'll take care of that.
So what they can, then they can, BZA said, you're good to go.
We can.
Just give them
I
that.
give them the local.
Okay, sorry you had to wait.
It's okay. Thank you.
We try to get through this before.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We do understand.
Can we miss one?
Okay. You guys okay here?
Sorry.
No, the outdoor storage, step back, and gravel surface for outdoor storage.
Okay. Rachel, you ready?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
It's being fixed.
Am I getting the fever?
Yes, get this one. Each case and appeal request will be announced in turn as arrives. The first case, or our case number, third case, number 4, is case 700. Okay? Will the zoning inspector please state the city's position?
The Board of Zoning and Building Code Appeals will hear a request for a variance at 8936 Shepherd Road. The variance request is to section 1163.02C2. Any building erected on such corner lot shall be set back no less than 40 feet from the side street right-of-way line of such corner lot, nor less than 10 feet from the rear line thereof. The applicant is requesting a variance of 15 feet to have a shed set back 25 feet from the side street right-of-way line.
And I'd like to back up one step. Has there any been, this is to Rachel, any correspondence from notified from adjacent property owners?
No,
Any unsolicited correspondence regarding this case?
no.
Thank you. Mr. Shelton, I appreciate that. All right. Does the board have any questions for the city?
This is strictly a setback, this is not size or anything else, correct?
That's what it's looking like here.
Everything we've
in the
got on
case.
this. The variance is just for setback, not size.
Just
or
for
anything
setback.
else.
Would you like to state your case? We're here, ready to wait.
No problem, thank you. No, it's okay.
Like I said.
Yeah, so I'm Shannon Greer. We have a shed that's deteriorating. It's time for replacement.
Okay.
So we're just trying to go through the right channels and do it correctly. So we want to have a new shed placed there.
We appreciate that. Here is your aerial view, okay? Could you show us basically, I mean, this is a tree, I take it?
That is a tree. Yeah.
Is it going, you're gonna take the tree down, or,
Absolutely not.
and where is the shed approximately gonna be on here?
So we're kind of in this red zone here. I don't see if there's a. Thank you. You know what? You may not be able to see it here.
Indeed.
Can you see it, honey? Because the tree is so.
Isn't that the shed?
No, that's west. So we're here. That's our flower bed. So the shed is in here. Somewhere in here.
Do you gentlemen see anything?
It's really hard to see.
Yeah.
Right.
The landscaping, which is
Yeah.
good.
So it's under two trees. So it's under the bigger tree and a pine tree.
Is it
It's
that,
right here.
it's
You
like where it
see
says feet?
Yes, I
Yeah,
was
okay.
just
That's
pointing
where-
there.
yep,
That's
yep.
where it is.
Okay.
So I do have another question for the city. So there's an existing shed, but this is a larger shed. If they were to keep the same size shed, would they need a variance?
No, it has everything to do just with the setback from the side yard. It's supposed to be 40 feet from the side street
I see
right-of-way
where you're
line.
going.
We're requesting 25.
Because we don't want to
Make it,
penalize people for improving their property.
Correct.
right.
Absolutely. This shed is gonna be what's, yours is right now 10 by 12, I think.
That is
you said?
correct.
Yes.
And
Going
this
for
is
10
gonna
by
be 10 by
20.
20?
Yes.
So it's 8 feet.
Right, but still,
Okay.
Is
it's,
the 8 feet
It's
towards the
towards,
road?
no, towards our home.
Oh.
Towards the house, this way.
So-
Yes.
Correct.
So the end of the shed that's facing the road would be in the same
No variance.
place?
Absolutely.
Well, because the sidewalk was added since the shed was.
Right.
Okay.
And we've been doing
that's all my
sidewalks
questions.
stuff, corner lots, more than once, and we're gonna get that straightened out too. So basically, what you're saying is the shed is gonna be closer this way, correct?
That is correct.
8 foot,
Yes.
That is correct.
right, towards
That is
your
correct.
house.
Towards our home.
So to make them whole again is essentially the, yeah. Practical difficulty is, it was on that line before, and they're planning on putting it on that line.
Same line,
Same line.
and it'd be closer to the house. So he doesn't have to go as far for the
because
grass.
I didn't understand some of this, how this all impacted, but it's changed with the sidewalk. But again, we're putting it in the same spot, it's just come a little closer to the house.
Yes.
Did
That's
you
correct.
put that structure in that
No,
location?
we did not.
It was there
It
when
was
you
there when we
house,
purchased
it
the
was
home.
existing.
So who knows when it was put in and
Yeah.
when, you know, and what ordinances were in fact. Okay. Any further questions or comments from the board? Do you have anything else to add?
We do not, thank you.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve case 700 as written.
Right, I second the motion.
Recording secretary, will you please take a roll?
Mr. Pilato?
Yes.
Mr. Ferraro?
Yes.
Mr. Shelko?
Yes.
Mr. Iafreda?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Motion 700 passed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you
Appreciate you
waiting.
all that
Thank you.
time.
No, it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Which is first?
Good thing you were last, because this put us in the mood.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
again.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
I'll call you regarding like the application and all the stuff to fill out.
I'll do it right away.
Yeah, so I'll talk to you tomorrow.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Call me anytime. Thank you.
Let me get this put away, gentlemen.
Not yet.
All right, just hold on. Since we're on the record, and we're just here, we do have to go over this corner lot, like we talked about a year ago, or I talked about a year ago, a year and a half ago. I think one day we should just have a meeting and go over this. And if we have to present something to council to do some changes, we should. Because we have all these different corner lots, and we've been coming up with so many different things, it's not even funny anymore. Okay, this was more or less easy, cut and dry, I think, where the shed was, okay? The fencing is where the pain in the neck is. Okay? And speaking on that, I had one other thing. What does the city, what do we do to residents and
No, this is on the record.
yeah, we're on the record. What do we do to businesses and residents that have fences that need repair? Wooden ones, basically, the metal ones, most of the new ones are coated now, but some of the old wooden fences that, you know, they look like hell.
Fences that need repair,
Yeah,
If they-
repaired, painted,
if they go
I mean, you know,
to get a permit, which they have to do for any replacement of fence. So that way we make sure that it's off the property line or on the property line. They have surveys, it's not a solid fence. So if they apply for a permit in the city, they have to apply for a permit for any reconstruction or replacement of a fence.
right.
Regarding the
I understand.
existing
I'm talking
fence.
about existing
Regarding the
fences
existing.
that are, been there for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Nobody's painted them, nobody has did a thing. I mean, who knows if they did get a permit, and if they did, my point is if they've been there and they look like heck, what does the city do? What do we
A
do?
fence in disrepair gets a violation notice,
Okay.
bottom line. And Chris has done that a number of times already. If you go behind Planet Fitness, if you see that nice looking fence there, that's what he did.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine. I
yeah.
just, the question, because I drive through the city and I see all kinds of them that look, they need to get torn down. And it's great to see residents come in here
Yeah.
that want to replace their fence. I mean, we've had 2, 3 of them, and when I can remember that, you know, it's a great thing.
But yeah, we actually have regulations on fences that are in disrepair, and because something looks bad in somebody's eyes, doesn't mean that there's something
I
wrong with it.
understand that.
We're actually the final judge in that case, you know, because we get complaints constantly, and we're right in the heart of like complaint period. So, you know, we make it.
Everybody's outside, cleaning up their
Yeah,
yard.
we make it very clear that, you know, we'll be the judge of those types of things, but we do that with anything that we have available to us.
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on one second, Rachel.
No,
It died.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, anything else, new, old, that we need to bring up? A motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting
I'll second.
on the 17th day of April of 2024.
April 17th, 2024. Motion's been made and seconded. Meeting is over. Thank you very much for showing up, everybody.